Why do some people seem so grounded and unshakable no matter what life throws at them? It turns out they might hold a secret most of us overlook: fewer friends, deeper connections. Just look at Prince Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender. His entire journey is a battle between shallow ties and true relationships. And it's the people he chooses to keep close that ultimately change his destiny. While society tells us to chase popularity in large social circles, wisdom teaches us something different. This is the secret power of having fewer friends. At the start of Avatar: The Last Airbender, Zuko is completely lost. Banished by his father, Fire Lord Ozai, and obsessed with regaining his honor, he clings to the belief that capturing the Avatar is the only way to restore his worth. His relationships are built on duty, not connection. But his uncle Iroh understands the value of deep, meaningful bonds. Once a ruthless general who lost his son in battle, Iroh knows that power and status mean nothing without true companionship. Now, the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle believed that friendship fell into three types: utility, pleasure, and virtue. First are friendships of utility. These are relationships based on mutual benefit rather than genuine care. For Zuko, one of these clearest examples is his alliance with Admiral Zhao. Zhao doesn't respect Zuko. He sees him as a disgraced prince, a failure. But he tolerates Zuko's presence because they share the same goal: capturing Aang. Zuko, still trapped in his need to prove himself, believes aligning with Zhao could help restore his status. But as soon as Zhao no longer sees Zuko as useful, he turns on him, even attempting to have him killed. This is what happens when friendships are built on convenience. They disappear the moment the benefit is gone. Iroh sees this from the beginning, warning Zuko not to trust men like Zhao. But Zuko, blinded by his desperation, ignores him. Next are friendships of pleasure. These friendships are based on having fun together. Some friendships are based on enjoyment, fun, attraction, shared interests. They can feel fulfilling, but they're often fleeting. Zuko's relationship with Mai is a great example. When they reconnect in the Fire Nation, there's a real attraction between them, and for a time, it seems like Mai understands Zuko in ways most others don't. But their bond is fragile. Zuko, still haunted by his past, isn't emotionally available. He lashes out, struggles with guilt, and ultimately leaves her behind when he chooses to fight against the Fire Nation. Mai, frustrated and hurt, calls him a coward. Even though she later proves her loyalty by defying Azula to save him, their relationship is never the kind of transformative connection that Zuko truly needs. But there are also friendships of virtue. This is where Uncle Iroh's presence in Zuko's life is so powerful. Unlike every other relationship Zuko has, Iroh's love is unconditional. He doesn't expect anything from Zuko. He simply wants to see him grow into the man he's meant to be. Even after Zuko betrays Iroh and chooses to fight alongside Azula, Iroh doesn't abandon him. He allows Zuko to make his own mistakes, understanding that real change has to come from within. When Zuko finally realizes his father's love is hollow, when he sees that power and approval won't heal his scars, he returns to Iroh, expecting anger. Instead, Iroh pulls him into an embrace. No resentment, no punishment, just love. This is the kind of friendship that changes lives, the kind that makes us better. Friends like this are rare, but they're the ones who stick with you through life's ups and downs. They challenge you to be better, celebrate your successes, and stand by you when things get tough. Unlike the other two types, these connections grow stronger over time because they're based on trust, honesty, and a shared sense of goodness. Building this kind of deep friendship isn't easy. It takes time, patience, and effort. You have to show up as your best self and be willing to grow with someone else. That's why many people settle for easier friendships of utility or pleasure. But those who work to create virtuous friendships find something far more meaningful, a bond that lasts for time. If the idea of having fewer friends feels uncomfortable, think about the true value of solitude. Zuko spends much of the series alone, and while it's painful, it's also necessary. Being isolated forces him to reflect on who he truly is. It's in solitude that he begins questioning his father's ideology, where he starts seeing his past actions with clarity. Most people fear being alone because they equate it with loneliness. But solitude isn't about shutting people out. It's about creating space to understand yourself without outside influence. Zuko's time away from Iroh, while difficult, is essential for his growth. When he finally rejoins Iroh, he's no longer a confused boy seeking validation. He's a young man who has chosen his own path. When you spend time alone, you get to ask yourself the important questions. What do I actually enjoy? What do I want for my life? What kind of people do I want around me? Without outside pressure, your answers will be honest, not just what others want to hear. Another thing about solitude, it makes you stronger. When you spend time alone, you learn to deal with your thoughts instead of running from them. It can feel uncomfortable at first, but facing yourself is one of the most powerful things you can do. Then there's the emotional cost. Some friendships are one-sided, where you give and give, but rarely get the same effort in return. Maybe you're always the one reaching out, making plans, or offering support, only to realize the other person doesn't ever seem to do the same. Over time, this imbalance can leave you drained, questioning why you're investing so much in relationships that don't give anything back. The pressure to fit in can also be exhausting. When you have a big group, you might feel like you have to keep up with their expectations, even if that means pretending to enjoy things that don't actually make you happy. Maybe you agree to plans you don't want to go to or hide parts of yourself just to avoid feeling like the outsider. When you spread yourself too thin, you lose the ability to form deep connections. You might know a lot of people, but how many truly know you? Real friendships take time and effort, and when your attention is pulled in too many directions, those deeper bonds never fully develop. This is where having fewer but more intentional friendships becomes a huge advantage. Having a smaller circle also allows you to set healthy boundaries. You don't have to entertain shallow connections or spend time with people who drain you. Instead, you can invest in friendships that bring joy, trust, and meaning into your life. It also makes you a better friend. When you're not exhausted from trying to keep up with too many people, you have the emotional bandwidth to truly be there for the ones who count. You can listen, support, and celebrate them in ways that actually make a difference. The idea that more friends equals more happiness isn't always true. A large social circle might seem impressive, but if it leaves you feeling scattered and disconnected, is it really worth it? At first, Zuko believes that having his father's approval will make him whole again, but the moment he gets it, he realizes how empty it is. His sister, Azula, is another example. She manipulates him, exploits his insecurities, and ultimately sees him as nothing more than a pawn in her power struggle. When Zuko finally stands against her, it's the ultimate rejection of toxic relationships. He chooses the hard road. He chooses the friends who challenge him to be better, rather than the ones who control him. Trust is what holds real friendships together, but it doesn't show up all at once. It's something you have to build slowly through shared experiences and consistency. And once that trust is broken, it can be really hard to repair. Sometimes it's impossible. That's why it's important to be selective about who you trust. Not everyone you meet deserves a front row seat in your life, and that's okay. When you prioritize quality over quantity, you make room for the people who truly matter. True friends aren't just there to pass the time. They're there to help you grow. Healing from bad friendships is an important part of building stronger, more meaningful relationships. If you've ever been hurt by someone you trusted, you know how hard it can be to let your guard down again. But healing doesn't mean you have to close yourself off. Instead, it's about learning from the experience and being more intentional moving forward. Life is too short to waste on surface-level connections. True friendship requires effort, honesty, and the willingness to grow. By keeping your circles small and prioritizing quality over quantity, you create space for the people who truly matter. And when those connections come along, they remind you that real friendship isn't about how many people you know. It's about the few who make life richer, brighter, and more meaningful. So the next time you think about your friendships, ask yourself, what really matters? True friendships aren't about how many people you know. They're about real connection, real trust, and real respect. If this idea makes sense to you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more simple and powerful insights into life and philosophy.